Welcome to In Touch Think STEAM Career Podcast. I am Dr. Ayo Lufade, the host of In Touch Think STEAM Career Podcast. STEAM is vital to our community because our community's health economy and the future depends on our solid foundation and participation in the innovation taking place in the STEAM field. This podcast explored the evolving world of science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and medicine in underrepresented community, including Black, Indigenous, and the people of color. As the STEAM field continues to evolve, this podcast will attempt to connect with men and women who are champions of and in STEAM education and careers to gain insight into how the BIPOC community can be part of the STEAM innovation, and also to support and inspire the creation of innovative solutions for sustainable development that will contribute to positive change in the BIPOC community for improving the quality of life. Today, I am fortunate and I am blessed, and I'm going to be talking with Dr. Norris Harris II, a 25-year-old third-year medical student at Temple University in Philadelphia, who works not only as a student, but an influencer on TikTok. Dr. Harris, welcome to In Touch Think STEAM Careers Podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Dr. Harris, you were brought up to my attention by a colleague that a 25-year-old African-American medical student was trending and becoming an influencer on TikTok. The moment I heard that, since I've started this podcast, I knew right away that I have to meet you. I have to meet your acquaintance and invite you to have a conversation on In Touch Think STEAM Career Podcast. Dr. Harris, can you please tell me about yourself and tell the whole world about who you are?
Yeah, thank you. I'm super excited to be here. This is kind of like right up my alley. This is what I do anyway. I'm big on STEM, big on mentorship, giving back, making sure people have like the tools to just achieve whatever they want to achieve, medicine or anything else. And I think this is definitely one of those things where it's kind of like a if you know culture, and it's very important for us for us to make things like this mainstream. So as for me, I don't know where to start.
You can start anywhere.
So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. Like you said, I'm 25. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and kind of always had an idea that I wanted to go into medicine in some kind of capacity. I was like a sick child, like asthma and allergies real bad, always kind of in and out, like in and out of the hospital. And I guess just engaging with the medical system so frequently and so early kind of got like the wheels kind of turning. I got vivid memories like going to my pediatrician like on a weekly basis to get like allergy shots to make sure I was like, to make sure that my immune system was intact enough to deal with kind of like the allergens that were out there. I was allergic to pretty much like anything, you name it, and I was allergic to it. So I had to get like weekly injections to make sure that I was like intact enough to just live regular life, pollen, dust, all the types of stuff. And just kind of like those early formative memories, like I said, kind of got the wheels turning. I kind of swayed from the path a little bit. I thought about being a teacher. Got a lot of experience with like education, with tutoring and mentorship and classrooms and all that type of stuff. I did a lot of that in high school. I did a lot of that in my undergraduate, and did a lot of that during my gap year before starting medical school. I had a lot of education experience. So it almost like swept me away. But I had a teacher tell me, like, Norman, like, when it come down to being like a doctor versus a teacher, like, she told me there'll always be another like good teacher to come around, but not everybody's gonna put in that work to like be a medical doctor. And if you are a person that has the option of doing both and the work ethic to do both, then just do it. I was like, I never thought about it like that. Like I can trust in good faith that somebody else can pick up this torch and do it just as good. And then I like just keep on trucking. So here I am, third year. It's almost decision time. I'm actually in the process of making my fourth year schedule now, and starting to think about residency and everything beyond that. So there we
Excellent.
have it.
Excellent, excellent, man. You will have been a really great asset in teaching and education. But you can always do that. But again, your teacher, your former mentor, was wise. She gave you really sound advice. But you know what? Once you're done with your residency, with your spare time, you can come to this side.
He said it's
All
not too
right.
late now.
Yeah, in education and teaching, we've got a lot of medical doctors too. So, so
Yeah.
maybe when you retire, maybe that can be a second career. At the same time, with all that medical school and all that science knowledge and math knowledge, right? You can, your spare time, you can continue to, tutor and help the young ones coming along. But and I'm going to tie that. I'm going to come back to that leadership skill, especially in tutoring, because I know when you were at Howard, you were also instrumental actually in creating an initiative that went across the campus. But we're going to come back to that. But right now, I truly want to emphasize on something phenomenal that you're doing on TikTok. So you became an influencer. So how did you get to become an influencer? I've been trying, right, to be an influencer, but here we go. I mean, how did you go from, let's say, few, followers to over thousands and million, followers? That's incredible.
I still ask myself how it happened. Honestly, like it literally happened within a week. Like I said, I have like a education background, like the mentorship kind of thing has always kind of been my thing. Like I said, got started with that in high school, but what initially even started the TikTok was me recording videos for YouTube, which is how it started initially. I initially recorded my experience as a Fulbright scholar in South Africa. After during my gap year between Howard and Temple, I spent what should have been a year in South Africa as like an English teacher and like a cultural ambassador, where I was blessed enough to have the chance to like share like a piece of Black culture with the students there at my secondary school that I was assigned to, and using like African American culture as a tool to teach English, as a tool to teach dance, teach step to them as well, and making sure that I made the strides to make sure that an experience like that was documented, because I know how uncommon it is for us to get those opportunities to be able to have an impact on that type of scale. So it started off doing it like that, and really once school started is when like my time kind of started getting like kind of tight. I was like, hold on now. So I started the first 2 years. I was able to kind of keep it up the first 2 years. And I started seeing myself slowly fall off once it started getting towards the clinical phase of medical school. Because like you clock out of like one job at the hospital and you clock into the other job of studying to make sure that you like on top of the stuff you need to know for the next day at the hospital.
Right.
So
Right.
the times just wasn't like working out. It's still at the point where I could, but I only get like a few hours to myself within a day or within a week anyway. So I try to like do as much non-medical stuff as I can. So The TikTok kind of transition kind of happened from there. I had an experience on my OBGYN rotation where I literally walked in, and within like 10, 15 minutes of being in the hospital, I was delivering a baby. I was like, huh? Like what? And I just literally just came back to the car on lunch and just told the
Literally,
story.
you were delivering a baby.
I was
God.
delivering a baby within seconds. It is still crazy to this
Were
day.
you terrified? What was it like? I mean,
I walked into the hospital. I can tell you
Right.
exactly what happened. I walked into the hospital, and I was supposed to be getting like my welcome to OBGYN kind of like tour of the hospital.
Yeah.
But when we got to labor and delivery, somebody was going into labor, and one of the other attendants was like, "Well, why don't you just join in? Like, we got one happening right now."
Whoa.
I walked in the room. It could not have been more than like maybe 3-4 minutes, and
wow, they dropped you in the water, man.
No, they said, look, and that's what I said on the video. Like, where the bathroom? Like, can I get the basic details? The cafeteria, bro. Can you help a brother out? I walked in and I was delivering baby. I was like, oh, okay, so this is OB, and I literally just told the story on my lunch break, and from there, literally within like 48 hours, it was just like millions of views, interaction, engagement. Within a day, probably like 40,000 followers. Within 2 days, like 55,000. And when the video like finally kind of trailed off and started like simmering down after like a week or two, it was like at 60 something thousand followers on TikTok. It was crazy.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Wow.
So I'm very new to like the influencer space. People try to make me this like big celebrity. I'm like, I was just literally doing whatever. Like, no, literally 3 months ago, I was just a regular person. But I'm still a regular person now. I'm not even like, I don't make a big deal of it. I just think it's just a way to have a larger impact than what I could have done like before that. So I'm grateful for it.
Well, I am happy that you did it, because imagine the impact, especially for the young people coming along that are always wondering, what is it like? Let's say for their first day, at the hospital, or first day of clinical, or what is it like, after you're done with your classes, now you literally have to go for the clinical. So what do I do, right? So, and by the way, ever since I've watched you on TikTok, I also went and I looked, and I've noticed that many people are posting their experience in medical school.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, so I kept on wondering. I wonder, was that because of Dr. Harris, right? I kept on wondering.
I didn't start it. What I was saying, and I think that's what made it so. I think that's why it like warmed my heart the way it did.
Okay.
There, for that one video that I dropped on that day, I could probably find you like 1,000 more like it. Like, it's not uncommon for people. The term is called a medfluencer. It's very cringe to me. I don't like subscribing to that term. Right. But it's actually considered a thing for you to like be within like the medical student or like just medical space, PA, medical student, nursing or whatever, and like document your experiences. You consider like medfluencer. And there's nothing special about what I did that day in regards to how common it's done by other people, but the way that it blew up just let me know about how I did it. So
I beg to differ. For someone, I mean, it's uncommon. I mean, your first day in the clinical, you're delivering a baby. Imagine
that's what I keep. That's what I keep like anchoring on, the fact that like it could have happened to anybody at any time, but it happened to me, and I like organically told the story as myself, and people just really vibed with it just off me being like my just organic, like regular self. It's the same way I would have had a conversation with you or anybody else. And I think what made it such a big deal is just that authenticity that's kind of like that can be lacking in like medical and just professional spaces altogether. People wanting to be too suited and booted, and not being afraid to be like relatable or comical, even when it even in times where even in spaces that are considered professional. But I think even in those spaces where that tone is kind of needed the most, because people feel the most ostracized and out and isolated and just kind of unheard. So to have somebody to convey the same information in a way that's just relatable, I think was just refreshing to people. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's who I am. I'm glad they liked it because it ain't changing. So I'm like, well,
Well, I'm glad that you did it also, especially coming from the fact that it's a person of color, right, that is
yeah,
relating his experience, at the hospital, a medical doctor, right? So that's a big deal, right? So because you will become a household name, and you are an influencer. You affect and impact other young people who now actually are on TikTok. As we would like to see more of people of color in the STEM and medical field, right? In STEAM,
absolutely.
actually. So I think you are actually a substance more than you think, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, which brings me, so how does it feel? So did you expect to gain such notoriety the moment you, wait, did you? No, it was
I
just,
had no intention. I don't even know what was my intention in recording it that day. I had like at that time, which is why I'm grateful for the time and that it happened too. At that time, I only had maybe like 3 to 4 other videos on my TikTok. Like you literally couldn't even go on my page and scroll. Like it didn't
right,
exist. So whatever the magnitude of that video was had to be enough for people to put their eyes on my page. And you
right,
know how you know how like videos will go viral and you'll go on someone's page and see that they like don't post about that thing regularly, and you let just kind of go about your business, just like, okay,
yeah,
he was
yeah,
funny this one time, but he not really like it. For you to like go to my profile and for
right.
like 60,000 people to see that I only had 3 other videos and still be willing to like follow my entire life off of that, is still just like humbling to me. Like that's super super cool. So
Wow. So how you've been posting stuff ever since, and that brings me to my next question. It must be really, you must spend a lot of hours, right, creating, videos that you post on TikTok, right? So how do you balance creating content and also medical school? Must be tough, right?
it absolutely is tough, and I think I've come to a point where I've decided to kind of like take the reins
Okay.
back and just like I said, the authenticity and like this organic feel of what I did that first time is what made it so popular. So
Mhm.
I've never put myself in a position where I feel like, oh my God, I'm coming up on the 1 week mark. I gotta post content, gotta post content, gotta post content,
Mhm.
and like be forcing stuff out and have it feel like inorganic or rushed. I'm just not in like the business of doing it like that. So as the ideas come to me,
Yeah.
as like sounds that interest me like arise and ideas just come to me, I usually make time on the weekend to like record them and then just post them like the next week. And honestly, social media honestly isn't built for people that are like that.
Okay.
TikTok and Instagram and all the other platforms out there like almost bully you and they want to like post content consistently because it
Yeah.
affects your like views and your
Yeah.
ratings and how much you circulate. But just my mind is in a different like place right now where I cannot make that a primary like priority. And even if I did, it wouldn't be as genuine as what made that first video so special. So if I can give you like something great every like 3 weeks versus something that I just like forced every 3 4 days, I think it goes just as far, if not further, honestly.
Okay. So once you're done, you're done with your clinical, your residency, and all that. You really start your professional journey on your
Mhm.
own. Do you see yourself continuing posting stuff, or I know
That's
I'm
a good question.
continue. Yeah.
And my intention always was to, of course, even starting from YouTube, I had intentions of like going down this path in some degree. I didn't expect it to like take
Take
off
off.
in 48 hours, but
Right.
this was my intended like course anyway. So it's not something that I like kind of had to like reel in real quick and like convince myself to do like on the spot. I already had intentions to kind of go in this direction. This kind of gave me a push and a like affirmation to know that it's something that's like doable and like desired from me.
Mhm.
So I definitely see myself doing that. I see myself even now, opportunities have come up for me to be um, just a voice of advocacy and the need to like
Yeah.
reform the modern like patient doctor experience. Like I literally have like a talk scheduled in like 2 months where I'm speaking on what that video did for me and how I'm using it to like
Impact.
refine that
Right.
relationship, because it's just for that moment to be so special to people. I think it just indicates how few doctors we have out there can be like as relatable, and I
Yeah.
think that's a problem.
Yeah.
And using the platform as a way to spin it and bring awareness to that problem, I think is kind of the next step for me.
Yeah.
As far as like leveraging the opportunity like professionally, I think is the next step for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that led us to, or leads me to the next question about companies must be reaching out to you. But obviously, yes, you're a 10 right now. You're on fire. Uh, so even I myself, remember, before we even start talking, I was actually thinking about
You
how,
like, hold up.
you know, so
Yeah,
the beauty about someone like you is you're young, you're educated, you're in the medical field, you're savvy when it comes to technology and social media. So and you are a person of color, right? That can actually, have an impact, right? You can be a voice for your generation and have an impact on the young people coming along. You're
absolutely.
relatable. So all this I see in you. And I can just so are you considering the companies that have reached out to you, are you considering taking them on their offer? Or you still want to sort of wait and see until you're done with, the priority, which is medical school right now?
I'm just very like protective of, and I don't say that like it's just like people just lined up at the door to get like a piece of Norman. Like it's not just like blocks and blocks of people like screaming and hollering my name. Like
Right.
the companies that do approach me, I just try to be intentional about the age of my brand. Like it's very young, and I just try to be intentional about which ones I accept and who, and how I go about like molding this brand into what I want it to be. So things that align with it, I always like at least entertain. Some have fallen through, some have gone through, but I'm open. I'm just being very intentional about how I'm moving forward with it.
Well, that is fair. That is fair. That's smart too. Absolutely. So here's a question. Currently, you are doing, I guess you're doing a rotation currently, right? Uh,
Hmm.
so how is it like? I mean, do you sleep?
Ugh, ooh, you chose the wrong day to ask me that. Look. That's why my eyes closing now. Okay, let's go through a day like in the life. I just came from internal medicine. Now I'm on surgery.
Okay.
Let me give you an IM day, and I'll give you a surgery day. Um, Internal medicine is just like general adult medicine, working like the floors at hospital. You can be inpatient or you can be outpatient. At Temple, your internal medicine rotation is inpatient because we have a separate like family medicine rotation that's all outpatient. So I would wake up. Um, I would wake up like 5:30 to be at the hospital at 7. Um, From 7 to 9, I would pre-round or go and check on my patients, get any updates from things that happened to them overnight, check on their vitals, kind of pull in their story for the last 24 hours together, and try to prepare that in what we call like a presentation that we give for each patient on rounds.
Okay.
And rounds is just when we go around and either at a table or going around room to room, discuss what happens with each patient over the last 24 hours, give like the data that backs up the things that have happened, and then propose a plan for the next day to address that data. So from 7 to 9, I might come in and my patient tell me that they have been vomiting for 24 hours. I go and I look at their labs. I look at all the things that would indicate that they've been vomiting, and I would try to fix that within my plan and try to put them either on medicines that would fix it, or try to correct the like electrolyte imbalances that would come from vomiting or anything like that. And that's kind of like the flow of the day. So from 7 to 9, I do my pre-rounds. I prepare my presentations for my patients. At 9 o'clock is when we actually do round, and then we talk about each patient individually. That usually goes from like 9 to like 11:30, sometimes 12. You go to lunch from at 12. You usually have a lecture at 1. Come back and you check on your patients in the evening around like 2:30. You run the list in the evening and do like kind of evening rounds. It's like an abbreviated version of what we did that morning. Kind of give updates on the things that you said that you would do that morning, around like 3:30. And then the rest of the day is just kind of like completing any other tasks that may come up, writing notes or things like that. You usually go home between like anywhere between like 3 and 5 is usually like the average. Only time that would change is if you have like cold days, because you have days where you are on standby in case there's like a cold blue or rapid response in the hospital, and that can kind of throw your schedule off in any kind of way. Because of course, as soon as it happens, we drop everything, we just run. So that's kind of like the feel of like an average internal medicine day, like 7 to like 3 to 5. Surgery is kind of the same feel, except for that rounds are a lot shorter, and you operating throughout that time. You're not really seeing patients. You seeing them, but you operating on them. And that's from like, today I work 6 to 6 to give context, like for free.
Wow.
So yeah.
And you're
So
not
we
paid.
talked about like not getting sleep. I'm like, do I have a story for you? Like, yes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Honestly, 6 to 6 can be on the that can be on the light side for some places. I've heard it's some schools where surgery can be working like 14 hours. Like a nice 10 to 12 is like a nice like middle ground. So I'm just preparing myself to like truck through these like 7 weeks and try to finish strong, because this is the like I said, the last rotation, the third year.
So talking about surgery, do you ever, I mean, you're in the city, I take it. And there are, especially now with the gun violence, all over. So do you ever come across a situation whereby you have to, help out with someone?
Yeah, actually, that our surgery service, especially at Temple, is divided into different like specialties. So I'm currently on burn now, so I'm not seeing as much of that. I'm seeing a lot of like kind of like accidents, like people who were cooking and like the cooking oil fell on them, or people who having issues with like space heaters or apartment or house fires, things like that. But my next, we do 2 services per rotation, and I'm currently on burn. The second half will be in trauma. And trauma is where it kind of handles all like the gunshots and all of those types of things that will come through. So I'm sure that'll be a very like humbling and rewarding experience. Intense too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm still excited for it, because like you come to school to like experience as much as you can, and even though I'm not like just a gung-ho like surgeon, that's part of the reason why I just want to go all out and just like do it. Like, why not? Like, it's probably the hardest out. It's probably the hardest I'll work hours may potentially be worse than what I'm doing now. But it's for the experience, so I'm down for it.
Do you ever feel like a scrimmage? I mean, not the kind of cringy about, the wounds and what you
I
have to
I thought I
do?
would. I
Yeah.
thought I would be a lot more squeamish, and I get to like the OR and even like some of the like worst burns. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Like whatever. Like I don't know. I get it's something very different about like seeing it on a picture. Like I will look at a picture and be like, oh my God. But if I see it in person, I'm just like,
Right.
okay, let's fix it. Because at that point you have it's within your ability to do something about it. It's not just like, ugh. It's like, okay, let's fix it. Like, yeah.
And by the way, that question was for my daughter. I'm trying to get her
Yeah.
to go into medical school, but the sight of blood and all that, she doesn't, care much. And
Yeah.
I tell her that it's not that bad, but hopefully, if she hears it from you, maybe that
Yeah.
change her mind. Right now, she's settled on engineering, so hopefully,
Mm.
yeah, she's.
I'm the type of person, I actually had this conversation the other day, I believe is a type of doctor for every type of person. I think it's only a matter of who is willing to put the work in and who is not.
Right.
People think you have to be this outgoing person or this absolute genius to be a doctor. You can go through this training and you can get to the end, and you have people that like go through every day and don't see any patients.
Wow.
You got radiologists, pathologists that just like deal with like data and stuff. You got people that go through days and only deal with people, just kind of like using their just mouthpiece all day. IM, pediatrics, things like that, that are very like conversationally heavy and relationship driven.
Yeah.
You got people that come in that are like doers, people that want to just do surgery all day and have people interaction, but letting it be on a more like invasive kind of like level of actually having the privilege to like fix the thing that they are diagnosing. And those are like the surgeons. So you got it's literally a spot for every type of person. It's a matter of who wants to put in the work and who doesn't. So
I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of times this young generation or young people interested in medical school or medicine need to know that there are different specialty, right?
yeah, yeah,
So probably because they're used to seeing one kind of a doctor or medical doctor, not realizing that it is a broad field, really. So I am glad that you put a plug on that.
yeah.
With the long hours and all that, what makes you want to become a medical doctor or pursue
Ooh,
a
I
career
ask
in
myself that
medicine?
every day. I'm still trying to figure it out. Long. Uh, um, that is such a good question. I think just knowing myself and getting to know myself are really what makes me tick. Like I said, I've had kind of from like the backstory that I've given from all like the recent like interviews and things that I've done. I've kind of shared about my past experience as an actor. I was a child actor and have kind
You
of like
were
gone.
really an actor? Really?
Oh, did I not share that with you yet?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
If you name it, I've done it. It's actually kind of crazy. I've hiked down like an entirely like different road in life. Like I got to the point
Oh my
where
God.
it was starting to get like,
You are a
oh
celebrity.
no.
Whoa.
I was a child actor
Wow.
and kind of chased that road all the way out
Wow.
and got to the point where it was actually beginning to get like serious, like pack up and move to LA type serious. And
Seriously.
it was at the gig that I did before that I realized like, wow, I'm not really like personally fulfilled if I'm like only using the comedic side of my personality. Like I got a lot to offer as a
Right.
person and like a
Right.
lot to contribute. And I felt like being like I felt like only using just that one side just didn't serve my full purpose for what I could do. And I'm a lot more fulfilled from like directly physically helping people and watching my impact on them.
Yeah.
And I experienced things like that through like the tutoring and mentoring program I told you in high school, like the kind of
Yeah.
initiatives I was able to do while I was at Howard, the impact I was able to have abroad. Like I know for myself what makes me like tick. And it's
Right.
like doing things like this, like directly helping people, getting them the resources that they need. And making a difference on like a day-to-day tangible basis. Not that a comedian can't, but it's just in a more indirect way. I'll never know whose day I made directly versus
Yeah.
like with being a doctor. So I kind of switched gears on leading with more like the academic side and letting like the comedic side of myself complement instead of doing it vice versa. And that's what's been the most comfortable for me. So the kind of the version of Norman that the whole world sees now is really the same person, just kind of like flipping my approach instead of like being like outright funny and like secretly like smart in the background. It's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
leading with the intelligence and letting the comedic factor be something that kind of like shades it in and gives
Right.
it a perspective that people don't often see. So that's kind of been my motivation to do it because I know how uncommon that is. My motivation has come from like making sure that I'm in the spaces with this type of personality to help the people that I know need it, um, and may not get the help if it didn't come in this kind of like package. Because I know in some of these spaces that I'm headed towards, if I wasn't there, somebody else would be able to do it, but they wouldn't be able to do it like just like me. So
Yeah.
I think my why is kind of like entangled in knowing the impact that I can have by the experiences that I've had and like what I'm bringing to the table just as a doctor altogether. So
Nice. I think it's a complete package personally. And I love the fact that the artistic side of you,
yeah.
and actually that actually causes me to ask you, does it actually help you in your medical career? That
Oh, absolutely,
okay.
absolutely, hands
Very
down,
good. Very good.
hands down, and I think that's why I think that's why even though I'm inexperienced in like the medical aspect of things, like there is nothing you can tell me about like connecting with human beings. Like,
Mhm.
please, like what? No, like um,
Right.
I, and that's always what I get for like evaluations and stuff too. After every rotation, you kind of get feedback on what you can work on, things you got to improve on, and like they write up this feedback and it's in a letter that they send to your residency programs in order to like basically like lobby for you to be accepted by the residency programs.
Mhm.
And my feedback is always like the same each time, like easy to talk to, like loved by the patients, loved by the office staff. It's just a
Yes.
matter of like getting like the in it's a matter of getting like the business stuff of medicine that I have to work on. Like,
Right.
and that's what I'm in school for. So I'm okay
Right.
with that.
Yeah.
If I can go in and I can like make a patient feel heard or
Mhm.
feel like listened to,
Yeah.
and I just
Valued.
don't present the
Right.
information in like the most perfect way, I'm
Mhm.
cool with it because that's something I
Right.
can learn with in time versus somebody who gets all the facts right but just
Right.
can't convey it to anybody because they don't feel connected to them. So
Yeah. Being able to relate. You're the kind of doctor I like to have. I like.
yeah.
By the way, my
I
one of the things
appreciate
that
it.
one of the things that I love about my primary doctor, really,
Yeah.
he's just like you. He's so relatable. By the way, to put a plug for him, his name is Dr. Richard Cook. He is
Shout them out. Shout them
yeah,
out.
shout him out. Right now, he's one of my favorite doctors. Really, he's very relatable, personable, just like you. So I think that keep that quality, keep that, please.
Thank you.
That is really very important. There is nothing that is so I don't know. So dry if you have a dry doctor, right?
Oh no, honestly.
So I'm sorry. That's not, so if you want to be a good doctor, you have to be relatable. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Be like Dr. Harris or Dr. Richard Cook. That I put a plug out for him. So one thing is, I know we're running out of time, but as a person of color, how is it like being a medical student as a person of color?
Mhm.
Or, what are some of the barriers that you experience trying to pursue or make your dreams come true? And also follow up with that question. I know there are three questions there because of time. Were there some support system if you were to offer some advice to young people coming along, right? So right now you're giving back to your community. What will it be? Okay, do you mind sharing, please?
Yeah. So kind of like the experience of being like just Black in medicine altogether, I think can be it is very specifically framed by where you choose to train. I'm blessed enough to be at Temple where the atmosphere is very, very supportive. Um, our numbers in terms of like minority recruitment and things like that are always like they actually like blow my mind. I would have never thought to have this kind of experience at a non-HBCU medical school, and coming from an HBCU background. That's something I was very intent on seeking out, places where I would feel comfortable and supported and heard. And I felt like that during my time at Temple, and Temple's entire mission is to be like integrated into the North Philadelphia community. So you can't separate that out from you can't separate the school out from the mission. Like if you're gonna be there, I think they're very good at knowing that they are like strangers there and seeking out the resources that's necessary to like to connect with the community in the ways that they need to, and provide for them the resources that they need to, and uplift them in whatever ways that they can, which is not the same narrative as many other schools in many other neighborhoods that resemble North Philly. It's usually not the narrative. It's like more so using the population as a way to like train and get like the experience you need without like helping them in return. And I think it's a very mutual relationship, at least with the medical school, in regards to how Temple operates in the community. And I think that trickles down to also the student experience and how like value we feel as well. So I think that from that standpoint is good. I think once you get away from like the safety net that the school provides, and just get into the general just pool of medicine that we'll all get dumped into, is a totally different story. Then it's a totally different story. Like you gotta have thick skin. You gotta be ready for what you gotta realize that everybody doesn't share the same background. You gotta be just open and willing to like work with patients and kind of like halfway meet them where they are. Be prepared to like choose your battles and choose your words wisely when dealing with those battles. Like I think it's something that happens with practice, and that you won't know how to overcome until you're like faced with it. I've been lucky to not have a lot of experiences like that, but I have had a few just dealing with like just patience. But I think it's just part of the job. And I think you gotta, part of what helps me deal with that is just knowing that people kind of have the same goal at the end of the day. Even if you're at the end of the day, you just want to be cared for well. And if you questioning my fitness to care for you, it's still in the intention of you wanting to be well. It's just got like them undertones of like bias in it. Like it's my job to like reassure you that even though I look like this and you're not used to having providers like this, I'm just as like equipped to help you fulfill that goal. Like let me help you get there. It's kind of usually like my approach in like dealing with patients like that. So that kind of just helps me to like remain level-headed. If you process it any other way, you'll be somewhere like pulling your hair out. So I'm like, that's the best way to deal with it for me.
Good. So go ahead, please continue.
I want to go with like the support system part you were saying. I think as far as just having a support system, it's just important to like remind yourself of how doable this can be. And you don't recognize how doable it can be until you connect with other people that you can relate to that have done it, which is why it just kind of goes back to the importance of like conversations like this and like platforms like this. When you see it, you believe it. We're in a generation where it's like you said, TikTok, Instagram, it's video, double tap, scroll. Like if you're not showing it to me, I don't believe it. Like see it to believe it, or done deal. So to to have somebody that can that can illustrate that it's possible instead of kind of just like blowing smoke, I think is very, very impactful. I think in ways for this generation specifically, compared to those of the past.
Is there anything from your high school, middle school, any advice that you can give teachers, educators, policymakers that could really help in, keeping students like you who are interested in medical school focus and pursuing this career in medicine?
I think I think I think it's kind of two pronged, and I can speak on it specifically. Actually, having like a kind of education ish background.
Okay.
I think one is like getting to them early,
Okay.
and like fully convincing them that they can do it, and two is just like establishing that like expectation of excellence for them to like rise up to in order to achieve that thing too. I'll never forget during my gap year, before even the Fulbright experience, I taught school back home. I was like a kind of like a TA slash like teacher back home for a minute for like one semester before I left and went to school. Before I left and went to the to South Africa for the Fulbright program, and I just remember like me being like fresh out of undergrad and having like a classroom and like the proximity that I had to the students,
Yeah.
and how appreciated it was for them to see somebody that had like just done it and to like give the information to them just in a like raw, natural way and convince them that they could do it. Even just individual experiences with students that like where I could tell I was the first one that actually believed in them. Like, okay, you want to do this? Okay, let's talk about how we're gonna make it happen. Oh, you want to do this? Okay, bet. So by tomorrow I need a plan of how you gonna do this, and this, and we gonna work it out. Because as long as we just talking, then we just talking. The second that we put that plan in like motion and put action behind it and words to the paper and like steps on how to accomplish each objective, then it's a plan. It's not even a dream. Like, and if that's what you want to do and you've convinced yourself that you can, then you will. So
Excellent. I like that advice, actually, putting it down, having a plan, writing it down, and then making sure that you're helping them follow through rather than just talking. I think that's a really good advice.
yeah.
You did mention you were a teacher, and that teaching part of you was accentuated when you went to Howard University. You started an initiative at now Howard University, and through that initiative, it took off across Howard University, right? You were also the king of your dormitory. You want
I'm giving you these facts now. Hold on now.
You want to share a little bit? Because look, let me tell you something, Lon. Look, I remember, man, my parents, when I was coming along, when I was younger, they tried to convince me to go and live in the dorms. Man, I refused that. I mean, for many years. But finally, when I did, man, that was the most happiest time ever in my life.
Listen.
It helped me focus. Because why? Because now I'm with my peers. We were doing the same thing. We were pursuing the same goal. And that kept me focused. That kept me focused, literally. But guess what? You did even better than me. You started an initiative. So tell us a little bit about that, and tell us about how is it like being the king of your dormitory? Did
you
boss everybody along?
Y'all, you want me to be a celebrity so bad. Okay. So just the culture of like Howard, like just HBCU culture anyway. It's just like everything is like it's internal, like friendly competition. And I credit Howard for so much of the the leadership potential that I kind of like unveiled within myself by being in a such a supportive space like that. Um, my initiative that I started from being I was like I was the king of my individual dorm. Then I ended up achieving the rank of being like the king of like all the dorms.
Mhm.
And I started like a tutoring program based off my high school experience.
Right.
And I started a tutoring program. It was very simple. All I did was like pair students within the same dorm
Yeah.
with with um, with tutors who are also in that dorm.
Wow.
So here we are, like a community of students that's in the same four walls. You got an F in algebra and they got an A, and we not talking to each other. I was like, huh?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? And it made so much sense, and I made that like template for them to be like paired together,
Nice.
and it was just as simple as that. And
Wow.
it worked to the point where like it got picked up by when I moved up to the position of being a wild dorms. I tried to spread it across campus, and it became like an actual thing. Because the universities like tutor resources can only go so far,
Yeah.
because they of course they work on like business hours. They close at 4:30, they close at 5. Like when you
Yeah.
get done with class and meetings and extracurriculars, band practice, step practice, whatever you do, when you get back to the dorm at 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
who else is up? Only other
Right.
students that's doing the same stuff. So you can get the help you need at midnight, at 2 in the morning, for
Yeah.
whatever you need. It just worked out. It just
Wow.
worked out.
Yeah. I think I like your initiative. That is pretty good. I remember when I was in college undergraduate, especially when I was interested in pursuing engineering degree, chemical engineering.
Mhm.
I used to remember I and many of my classmates, we really meet at the cafeteria. We set up a big table and we sit around the table and we're working out problems, right? So your system, I like your system.
He
But
said
but
it
no, no,
ain't
no,
too
no.
bad.
But again, one of the things is the time limitation, though. But yours, I mean, even where after everybody is gone, you can still find someone, right, around past 10 o'clock that
Mhm,
you can hook up with that can help you, right?
mhm.
With that assignment that you're really struggling with. So this is really a good initiative, and I hope that other people that are listening to this program, especially college students, I always tell my students, especially because I'm an educator right now, is that I tell them, when you go to college, one of the things that you need to learn to do is network, surround yourself with people that think like you, people that are pursuing the same dream like you. Form a network whereby you basically can call somebody up, you can walk together, go to the cafeteria, do those assignments together. Don't copy each other's work, but guess what? Be each other's support, right? So now that they're listening to you too, guess what? Especially the leaders in this dormitory, I would like to encourage them to take your initiative and put it into action. You need to do it.
I can tell you right now how important that is. We've had like extensive discussions on kind of like the kind of the South Africa thing, and how
Yeah,
all the experiences from Howard kind of like spread to me being able to like provide those kind of to provide that kind of impact even like abroad. But I only applied for the Fulbright program because
yeah.
of those people within that circle that you're talking about that told me like, you're gonna like literally drag me down to the office, like, oh, you're going to apply. I'm like, I'm not about to get no full right, bro. Like I ain't did special. Like, I did a
Congratulations,
little
by
step
the way.
team. I coached a couple step teams. I did
Oh,
late
my,
mission.
my.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Whatever.
yeah.
And applied for it and got it, and was
I'm so
was
happy.
literally funded by the U.S. government to go overseas and share my story. Like,
I am congratulations, by the way, on that experience. And
yeah,
one of the things that came out of that experience, I'm glad you mentioned that, is that you don't know how important you became. I mean, here in the fraternities and even in the sorority, there is something that is really special, okay, to every fraternity across the country is the step dancing, right? I mean, but you took it one step, you took it to another level. When you went to South Africa on your Fulbright teaching in South Africa, right, you were able to connect with to your brothers and sisters in South Africa and relate the step dancing to the dancing in Africa. And they didn't even know that they were what they were doing or what they did, what their ancestors have done, actually has contributed to the culture here in the United States.
Absolutely.
You are a connector. You're a bridge. You're the bridge between two cultures, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you please tell us about that experience, man?
No, I stare at the wall sometimes, just shake my head like, like it's so crazy. Like, once again, going back to just everything at Howard being just like competitive and like in friendly competition, but in that competition, it just brings out so much like leadership potential from the people that like partake in it. So I stepped from my dorm during my freshman year. I coached that step team of my dorm until I graduated, and I also coached the team where all the dorms come together and competed on one big team that represented the school and like competed like regionally, and I coached that team as well. So in the peak of my like Howard like career, I was like the king of the dorm, coaching two-step teams and doing all this stuff. Like I would leave out my dorm and like 8 in the morning and come back some days like 2, 3 in the morning. If we got a show coming up and we running steps and we like marking formations and scripts and like making it happen, we put in work. Because if Norman Harris' name on it, you think we about to look crazy? Oh no, baby. So I was very like invested in like the culture on campus, but like I said, it was one of those people within my circle, within my like kind of village on campus that inspired me to apply for the Fulbright. And the Fulbright is basically just an opportunity to either do research or teach English abroad, but they give a competitive advantage to people that can also like be cultural ambassadors at the same time. And I ended up applying to South Africa based off of the reasoning that you kind of just explained. So all the stepping that I was able to do at Howard, it only is possible because of the origin of the original dance, the Kumbu dancing from South Africa, and being able to frame that inside of a proposal and present that and have it accepted and being funded to go there and share that experience with them is something I will never forget. Like I was supposed to be over there for a year, but due to COVID, it ended up getting shortened to only like 3 months. But they absolutely had, and of course, in their like current climate, like post-apartheid climate, where they're still dealing with discrimination and racism, they had no clue that something that they did like as just a cultural practice had like global implications. Like you said, that's the cornerstone. That's a cornerstone of like Black American culture. Like who don't know stepping? Like stepping, like really? They had no clue. They had no clue, and they ate it up. They ate it up, and that's also something you can find on like I got the videos on my YouTube for anybody that's interested in like the videos. It's on my YouTube. Is the Chalk Doc, just one word, and I think it's like the first and second video that I ever posted on YouTube. It's kind of recapping that experience and giving videos of us at practice and all that type of stuff.
Well, you've done really well, and I just want to say thank you, for the impact that you are having here in the United States, and also bridging the two cultures. To be honest with you, we have a lot in common than what divides really.
Absolutely.
So, and you really demonstrated it beautifully. Dr. Harris, I just want to really thank you for taking the time to come and share and talk with me about how you became a phenomenon, right, on TikTok. And also in the process, right, share your experience as a medical doctor, right, and also your impact and how you were able to bridge the two cultures, United States, African American culture here in the United States, and also Africa. You're making us kind of feel like, okay, we're one people. So we all have to just see it and believe it, right? So I just want to thank you. Is there any final thing that you want to say that we didn't capture? I can sit down here and really keep talking with you, but I know.
No, honestly, that's what I said. I can talk
No.
all night, so don't let it be on
Right.
me. I think if I had to say anything to close, it would just be, like I said, my whole vibe is just making sure that from whatever background, I think there's a need for not only just diversity in just ethnicity, but diversity in like experience, in personality, in like in just in just every factor of what can make a person different, so that we can like have the best possible like range of care that we can for like the diverse population that we serve. So I'm all about like in whatever way you feel like connected to me or what I bring to the table. I'm just using whatever I got to make people feel like there's a space in medicine and in professional spaces for them. Whether you identify with my ethnicity, with my personality, with just who I am and my background and my lived experience. There's a place for African Americans, for minorities, for goofy people, for quiet people everywhere in these spaces, and people need people need to know that. So that's the mission. That's the mission.
Thank you so much.
Thank
STEAM
you.
is vital to our community. STEAM and medicine is vital to our community because our community's health, economy, and future depends on it and on the solid foundation and participation in the innovation taking place in STEAM and medical field. Today, I have the honor to be talking to Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, thank you so much for coming to In Touch Think STEAM podcast.